Information Technology Director to tell us when that light turns on. Bringing a telescope next time. The Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 regular meeting of the Knox County Commission is now in session. Roll call vote. There's only 2 of the 3 commissioners here, but that is a quorum, so we can still continue the meeting. So I will call the meeting to order. And first item on the agenda is always public comment. Is there anybody who would like to address the commission? Sir.
Good afternoon. Many in the room already know me, but I wanted to take this opportunity this afternoon. I haven't done this formally, but I want to formally introduce myself to the commission and to others as a candidate for Commission District Number 3. This is not a secret, but again, I wanted to come before the commission officially and do this. The District 3 is an interesting district compared to the other 2 because it's made up of a number of non-contiguous towns, Rockport, Cannon, and Hope, and then the non-contiguous community of Owl's Head, and then the islands, Vinyl Haven, North Haven, Cree Haven, Matinicus, and the Muscle Ridge Islands. So it's an interesting district to be sure, and with the potential change in redistricting in 2030 as it's currently planned, that'll only alter again 4 years down, a couple years after that point. But again, just to make it official, I'm running as an unenrolled independent candidate for Knox County Commission, and I look forward to the upcoming election in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you leave, you bring up a question. Can islands be contiguous with other islands?
I guess every mass of land is contiguous, either sub-mariner or otherwise, but sure. And for the record again, my name is Gordon Page. I don't think I said that earlier. Any other questions?
Thank you. Do you know if there will be a candidates forum for the commissioners?
I have not been advised of such an event.
Because the Courier oftentimes does that. I know they're going to have one for the city of Rockland, for the council seat. I just didn't know if there was going to be a forum for people running for the county commissioner. Okay.
Not that I know.
Thank you.
I suspect I get an invitation if there is going to be.
You'll be among the first to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment? Seeing as there's none, we'll move on to the regular part of the agenda. We have some consent items which include this agenda: minutes of the regular commission meeting of August 13th, minutes of the special commission meeting of August 16th, the departmental reports, the warrants, and reserve withdrawals. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved. I will second it. Is there any discussion? The only discussion is, once again, we received departmental reports, and I thank all of the departments who came up with those. It gives us another little bit of insight into what's going on every month while we're not here to see everything that's going on, so thank you. Any departments would like to make a report or bring up anything? Seeing as there's none, I will call the vote. All those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. Action items. The first action item we have is an act to award the landscaping and snow removal services contract for the 2025 to 2027 seasons. Do I hear a motion?
No, not yet. After
I think we need a motion so we can officially
Oh,
discuss it.
right. Then I move that we act to award the landscaping and sewer services contract for 2025 to 2027 seasons.
And I will second it, and we'll call up one of the major users of this contract. Sheriff.
Good afternoon. Tasked with, as you said, being one of the larger users, just tasked with following up on some things. Based off the last commission meeting, you guys were still left with some questions that we needed answering before you can make a decision. So after that meeting, I set out to try to do that on our behalf. So there were some items that ended up being missing from the RFP compared to the walkthrough. So some of the bidders were a little confused on some of those things. So we have set that straight with everyone. The bids have been returned with questions answered both on their sides and our side. We feel confident that at least the top two bidders that we've given you, which are J&H Landscaping and Farley Inc., are well prepared to take on this contract. It's just a matter of, I think, really your preference. You're looking for somebody within the county who has a proven record with us, or we're looking at somebody new to give them a chance and see whether they can make it for us or not. There is a bit of a price difference, approximately $30,000 per year or so of the contract. It is a 3-year contract, so the difference for the entire period would be somewhere in the area of $90,000 to $100,000 difference. Like I said, it's a matter of opinion on what you want to choose, paying a little more for a company we know, or paying a little less for a company we may still have to work through some hiccups with. With any contract, there's always going to be hiccups. We just haven't seen what those are yet. What is known to us is this is significantly higher than we've seen in past bids anyway. I do think it is a trend, unfortunately, for the future. So I don't envy you having to make this decision. So.
Any questions?
Yeah, we had some questions at last time we discussed this concerning not so much the distance they are from Knox County, but the fact that do they have stockpiles near here that they could rely on in case there was a bad storm and had to replenish their sand, salt, or something of that nature.
Yeah, so that was not discussed specifically as far as stockpiling of materials. What was discussed was potentially pre-staging equipment, but the vendor did not bring that up as an issue. When asked, that was not something that they felt would be of concern. The closest they do service to us is RSU 40, so they are servicing some of the school district locations, but it is not 24/7.
So we don't know.
Of course, the problem is it's expensive. We can see from all 4 bids that it's going to be expensive, and that's just something we're going to have to suck up. And if we're going to have the lawns mowed, and we're going to have the limbs taken away, and we're going to have the leaves raked, and if we're going to have the driveways plowed, it's going to cost money. The problem is $30,000 more a year, $100,000 more over the course of 3 years is a lot of money. You know, and yes, it's Farley, and yes, we like them, and we know they've done a good job. But that's still an awful lot of money to ask the taxpayers to pay for our facilities. And so you're asking us which one of the 4 companies to go with, and your recommendation, just based on past performance, is going to be for Farley. And I don't disagree, and I like the idea of trying to keep it in the county, but I just have such a hard time spending an extra $100,000 over 3 years. That it's just, I'm personally, I'm willing to risk the inconvenience or the extra phone calls we may have to make if they're not quite doing the job that we want them to save $30,000. I mean, the $30,000 is a good chunk of another employee's salary. And so I appreciate what you have to say, and I appreciate what Farley has done and can do, but personally, I would like to award the bid to, I gotta get my glasses on.
J&H Landscaping.
To J&H Landscaping Services.
Is that a motion?
That would be my motion to add that, yes.
I'll second.
And it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Does anybody have anything they would like to add?
Just a real quick concern on our side of the building. I'm concerned about the 24/7 coverage, keeping these sidewalks clean so that the staff can get in. This has been an ongoing issue where staff is out cleaning sidewalks so they're not walking through a foot of snow just to get into their office. So that's my biggest concern, is we haven't had anybody. Those 3 identities up at that building, the sheriff's, well, 4 if you count the jail, need to be kept open 24/7, much like a hospital. Because you never know when you're gonna need to get an ambulance into the jail, or you need to get, we have the jail and the dispatch center have, yes, they have set schedules, but you never know when someone might have to come in at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, they're not gonna wanna try to get through a foot of snow to get into the parking lot. So that's my biggest concern. Really, overall, that's my biggest concern on whoever gets the contract, is that facility needs to be kept cleaned out 24/7, and that needs to be stressed to whoever gets awarded the bid.
Thank you. Is that in the contract?
So we will negotiate the contract after you award, but yes, the draft we have, obviously we've got to agree with the bidder on that, so that is the next step, is to highlight these additional things, not additional, but highlight these things that we are emphasizing and work with the contract from there. So.
But so it wouldn't matter who is the contractor at that point, we're gonna make the same request of them.
Correct.
And expect that. But it's not currently in the bid or in the contract.
So the request of the 24-hour is in there.
It is in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
The items that were less specific were around the lawn care and the cleanup in between seasons.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, because I think Director Coombs brings out an incredibly important point, that one of the reasons we need it to a certain level is so that the buildings are accessible all the time.
that was hit pretty hard in the RFP, as well as the walkthroughs with the vendors. So they are all aware of it. And again, promising is one thing, proof is in the pudding. Like I said, I'm more of a, if we know what we get, I'm willing to go with that. But I understand where you're coming from in price as well. I agree. That is a lot of money to be able to put towards other things. So.
It's just that we do have, okay.
I don't say this very often as far as when it comes to expense or spending a little bit more. Those usually don't come flowing out of my mouth. My concerns with the vendor, 1, proximity to us.
Yeah.
2, they have never serviced a 24/7 facility. The closest has been a school, which we all know is closed and gets delayed, so there's a lot of time availability. The vendor during the bidding process, my understanding was at times was somewhat unresponsive and not available to answer phone calls or respond to emails. And to me, if that's happening during a bid process or a clarification, what's going to happen once they have that, because usually that's a courting, they're trying to win you over. I wasn't the one directly dealing with them, but my interpretation of the interaction was that there was a delay in a lot of that. I think that they don't necessarily know what they're getting into, even though it was in the bid specs. And I think that we may be putting ourselves at risk by awarding to, I will say, an unknown vendor in the middle, and they could pull out in the middle of a season, and then we don't have any other recourse. And we've had some issues with our last two vendors as far as being, our needs were a little bit more than they could handle.
You know, I don't like you very much. I mean, you're supposed to just go along with us.
No, it's my job to point these things
No,
out, and I'm not the decision maker,
Yes.
and
Absolutely, I mean, I'm sort of, you understand, I'm sort of cross between, I understand, and I don't disagree, that Farley would probably provide a better service. They're near here, they're by here. The question is twofold. Is it a $30,000 a year worth of better service? Because there's probably gonna be problems with Farley too. They're gonna require extra calls because they missed something that they didn't know, you know, because they're gonna have, it's human beings doing the plowing and the shoveling and the raking and the, and so there's gonna be, we're gonna have to be on top of whoever it is. So the question is that 30,000? The other half is, we have a budget committee that their role, among other things, to make sure that we're getting the best value for our dollar. And I have a hard time not seeing some things through their eyes too. So, commission candidate page.
If a question is appropriate for the general public, the county has been dealing with quite a while now, a significant issue at the airport related to a contractor that failed in its mission and was dismissed. And I'm wondering, with that experience, if the commission or if the county, people that are involved with it, have done any level of background checks or due diligence related to the specific contractors. It sounds like one of the contractors is not nearly as well known or has a reputation, good or bad, in this market as the other. And I'm wondering if any of that work has been done on behalf of this decision-making process.
I'll turn that over to the sheriff.
So the answer to that question is yes, but he's correct, it's not in our market. The market is specifically Dan Riscotto. So the contracts they have there, reputation-wise, is very similar, but the difference is there are no 24-hour facilities that this organization has serviced. They are all, Monday to Friday business, weekend business, those types of things. They're not a 24-hour public safety entity. And that has been the challenge, is there is nothing comparable with this vendor to look at to say they can or cannot meet it. Whereas that is majority of my emphasis with Farley is Farley has serviced 24-hour facilities in the past, us being one of those. And we do know that they are able to manage that. They also have had contracts with the state for 24-hour road maintenance as well, and have been able to meet those obligations over the years. So that's really all it is the vendor just has a lack of ability to assess whether they can or can't do it. We would be their trial organization, if you will, in my opinion. So.
Another, excuse me just for a second. Another question I have is, when would this contract start? How does this fit into our regular budget season?
So the plan, my understanding from the notes I have, is that we would try to make it so that we don't start spending the larger amounts of money until the 25 budget year for us. We do need something to start in November because the snow season will be upon us. But we're gonna try to work with whoever the successful bidder is, and that was part of the RFP, was to try to make sure that we move the payments till later in this year or the beginning of next year.
Mr. Ratner?
$30,000 is always a big number when it's thrown out, unrelated to anything else. I'd like to know what's the percentage, what's $30,000 percentage-wise for the yearly contract? You know, is it 10% increase, is it, 25%?
Do that math right now.
Hang on a second.
I think it's about. It's about 18 to 20%. So the 1 year bids, just, so this year for the lowest bidder was about 156. The next closest being 30,000 was 186. Between 15 and 20% difference.
Well, I'll do it, and I will rescind my, if you're willing to rescind the second, I will rescind the motion.
You rescind the motion?
Yeah, and change the motion to Farley. Unless you're not willing to, in which case we have to vote.
Guess you can do that.
And we can vote on the motion for J and H, if you'd like.
To what?
On the floor, we have a motion to accept the bid from J and H Landscape.
Right.
I have been convinced that it's probably better for us to award it to Farley. We can either vote on it on J and H, and then if that fails, we can then vote on a different one, or we can rescind it and change it over to Farley as a motion. What do you have to say one way or the other? Because we could certainly be tied 1-1 and not go ahead with this contract.
I think somebody, not necessarily me, but somebody ought to check with one of the customers of J&H to find out, were they happy with their performance? Were they there, was the plowing done when it should have been done? Were the sidewalks done? We don't know. We know what Farley does. We don't know what the other one does. But I'm sure one of the customers might.
So
I
to answer
believe
the
the
question is,
sheriff.
I did already receive that. Like I said, the only caution I have is all of those are normal businesses. They're not 24/7 businesses.
Well, I thought they were doing the school or something.
Yes, but again, it's not 24/7. They don't, it's not one of those facilities that has to be open all the time to the public.
True.
So, and that was the concern, is there is no facility that they have that requires that at this time. So there's no comparison, so it just, that information is not available. But as far as the places that they're servicing, all of them are happy with the service they have.
Yeah, and this is not, I would go with Farley not because it's a reflection on whether J and H are capable of doing a good job for what they do. The question is, it becomes a gamble. And the gamble is even worse if in the middle of January there's a snowstorm and they can't do it. Or they just decide it's more work than they have ever done before coming all this way to do a 24-hour facility, and then we have nobody to do it except you and me. And all I've got is my little Toyota, with a plow on the front. So I think I'm at the point where I can justify it being Farley. I mean, it's also, it's not fair because we have two people running for commissioner from the district where Farley is,
True.
you know, so I can't ignore what they have to say, but.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it isn't necessarily a good idea to go with the lowest, low bidder sometimes. We never know. It's,
Yeah,
we don't know how J&H would perform.
right. We just don't know how. We know that they've done a good job for the people that they have.
Do we know that?
That's what,
Yes.
that's what the sheriff says.
That is the report I got.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be easier if they didn't.
Right.
It would be.
That's why I said it's a tough decision, so.
Uh, I'd very much like to give them a try, but I know that I'm not the one that would be suffering the most.
Right.
Make your motion.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, which is to award the bid to J&H. So I'll call the vote. All those in favor, say aye. This is to give it to J&H. Okay? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Nay.
Nay.
So it fails, and I will accept a motion to award the bid to Farley.
So move.
It's been moved to award the bid to Farley. I will second it. Any further discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? I hate to do it. You don't have to.
It's up there. That's as high as I can possibly
That's
raise
okay.
it.
So it carries 2-0. And we will hear about this for a long time to come. Hopefully not because of the performance.
Hopefully not from us, right?
Yes. Thank you very much for your time,
Thank you.
and thank you for your time researching it for us.
I think we should get in the snowball business.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I'll stop doing little driveways for free from now on. Our action items, number 2 is an act to accept the report of the Charter Review Subcommittee and to authorize us to hold a public hearing in the December 2024 regular commission meeting.
So move.
It's been moved, I will second it. Is there any discussion? Yes, there is some discussion. I will, as a member of that committee, I will just bring up, for one reason or another, to get it onto the ballot, we have to have a public hearing about it. Just because of the way it was eventually presented and we finally got answers from the attorneys, it's too late to get it on the year for November's ballot. So we're looking at probably next November having it on there. Of course, as you know, most of these changes can't go into effect until 2030 anyhow because of the way the redistricting works.
You got
A lot
plenty of time.
So we've got plenty of time, and so by having a certain date that we're going to do it in December gets us outside of the election cycle, it gets us out of the budget cycle, so at least we have something to start working on, which is that public hearing. Once we get the public hearing, that will include the rewording of what we think the ballot measures will be by the attorney. So this is just a way to put it on the agenda for the future. And to recognize all of the hard work that the committee did. And not say that, oh, well, we're just gonna keep putting it off. No, we have a date, we're definitely gonna do it, but unfortunately, it can't be done as soon as we'd like it to be. So, that's why it's there, that's what the point is, and this will give us some direction to the attorney to make sure that he has the ballot wording by December, if that's all right. Any other discussion, any questions?
No, that sounds good.
Yeah. That being the case, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. Our third action item is an act to accept Neil D. Courtney's recommendation of the Knox County Fire Service Review and Emergency Medical Service Assessment Report.
So moved.
Removed, I will second it. Any discussion? Who can I call on to?
I will give some background on this.
Okay.
This was requested and is being paid for with the ARPA funds. So if you are acceptable with the report, it will then get distributed out to the appropriate parties in the towns and the cities. Our EMA director had stated she would be happy where she has the list of those contacts to distribute it out. They would have an opportunity to comment, or if there's any information that's incorporated in the report that may be, I don't know if I want to use the word inaccurate, or needs to be updated, then those would go back to Neil to make his final report.
And so this is basically just a report of our readiness across the entire county, including the different towns, to respond to emergencies like that.
I interpret it more as to what is the current structure and what are recommendations that could possibly be updated or changed moving forward. There was a report done originally, I think it was 2015. It hadn't been done since then. And the EMA director at the time of when we were deciding what to use funds, had recommended that a new report be done. And then that was also backed by the people in attendance that the report would affect.
And as a document, once it's adopted and modified, however it is, it can stand as a blueprint for both where we stand and where we could potentially go.
Yes.
Is there a group within the county that could make some of those things happen separate from the commission? Or is this something that we would do on a commission level, do you think?
I did not interpret it to be something that the commission would be providing that level of direction. In the report, it talks about different entities that could work together in some of those recommendations, so I don't foresee us spearheading. I think we would just the avenue to get it done with grant funding.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
Nope.
Seeing as none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. The fourth item is an act to approve the purchase of 4 loader tires for the John Deere 744J Blade Runner to be used at the airport. If I can call up the airport director.
Afternoon.
Jacob, welcome.
Yeah, so these loader tires are going to be used on our snowplow, essentially. I've spoken with our maintenance supervisor that we have out there at the airport, and my understanding of this is that the lowest bidder for these loader tires is significantly lower than the other one, because the other company purchases their equipment from that bidder to use so. So I think this may be one of the cases where the lowest bidder may be the better option.
And these tires, how long do these tires last?
I was told that these tires, we could probably get good use out of them for 5 years before we would even have to start considering assessing, if they're going to hold it more. I think these are good to last us for quite a while.
And the only reason we're voting on this is because it's a large amount of money. It's already in the budget, and so we're not like we're doing a reserve withdrawal or anything like that. This is just something that we're voting on because it's a big capital, because it's whatever it is, more than $5,000 and lasts for more than 5 years, or whatever the rule is. Yeah.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Any questions, Rick?
Are these tires loaded, or are they just air?
I'm not sure what you mean by loaded.
Loaded, you put, you can either put beet juice or calcium in a tire to give it extra weight so it has more traction.
I'm not positive. I'm from an area that doesn't really handle snow and ice too much. But after speaking with my maintenance supervisor, these are what he feels there would be
But
best.
that will run the price up. It seems like a lot of money for 4 tires to me.
You also probably don't come from farming country either, because they do that in farms too, is to weigh the tractor down based on using the tires to provide the weight. They've switched over to beet juice because it's less corrosive on the wheels, so.
I'm sorry, you're saying beet juice?
Yes.
Beet juice.
Beet juice.
Good, you don't want to poke a hole in one of those, everything gets red, it looks like the tire's bleeding, it's terrible, terrible. Anyhow, yes, it is a lot of money, but I guess that's what they charge for those tires.
Yeah, they started out using calcium chloride they had for years, but calcium chloride is very corrosive to metal in particular. So they had to find an alternative that would not corrode. So they went to beet juice, and it does not freeze, so therefore it stays liquid all through the winter, and it provides a lot of weight. And if you're moving snow, you need weight. So that's why I asked.
That's why I eat beets before I plow, just to get that extra weight, so. At any rate, thank you. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Seeing as there's none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. The next action item we have is an act to approve the purchase of a mulching head mount to be used at the airport.
So
moved.
I will second it. What's a mulching head mount?
So there are trees that obstruct the airspace around the airport. Our maintenance department has the equipment to, get these trees down, get them cleared and taken care of. And to do that, they'll need a new mulching head mount, which just shreds the brush, turns it into mulch.
it's going to be located on an excavator, where you're going to be attached to that.
I believe so. I'm not sure what the actual vehicle
Okay.
itself is.
Yeah, I've seen them work. It's pretty good. Save a lot of man hours.
Yep. Any further discussion? As there's none, all those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. The next one is an act to approve a sole source purchase from MB Broom for a snow shed with vibrator and hitch to be used at the airport. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move the motion.
And I will second it.
I'm a little bit something here. I can't figure out what we're getting at. Snow shed with vibrator. The shed moves?
Yes, sir. My understanding is that for the snow plow, when they're plowing snow, the shed raises and then vibrates to shake all of the snow off. When they're
Okay.
clearing the snow from the runway, it needs to be done in a timely manner.
So
it
it's
helps.
not a building.
So, no, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
And this is another one that's in the budget and doesn't require any extra spending. This is just because it's a lot of money we're voting on.
That's my understanding.
Oh, shit.
I guess it sheds the snow.
It shouldn't be A then, it should be for snow shed.
All those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one we have is an act to approve, an act to approve revised job description. A information technology director.
So move.
And I will second it. Any discussion?
No, I think it's overdue.
Overdue? Okay. It's like a library. Would you like to come up and just, no? Come, please.
Do you want?
Just, yes, please. Just a little discussion on what we're doing.
Okay.
How are we changing this?
Okay. We've identified for quite some time that the information technology director position description is not accurate with what our expectations of that position is. They don't receive as much management, guidance, day-to-day operational support as it was written. I think we've all known that for quite some time. We are doing our internal organizational study addressing all of this, but this one is kind of a standalone and has been needed to be addressed for a while. So we'd like to do that. The changes in there are not significant per se. It's more of making it more accurate for what that position is expected to do on a day-to-day basis. There's a lot of autonomy in that role and a lot of trust needed to be given to that role to make those day-to-day decisions. So it's a little bit different than the rest of our department managers, if you will. So we wanted to bring this forward.
And we currently have an information technology director.
We do. It's a great one.
So this is not a job application that we're working on. This is just changing a little bit about what we really expect from this person.
Right, and these particular like isolated things, right, where again, we're doing it as a county and we're gonna continue to do that, but when we see something that is so off, we have to do our due diligence and address it. And I think this has been discussed with him from previous leadership, so we wanna make sure that we're following through with those conversations and potential promises to make sure that this is addressed this year.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? No. Seeing that there's none, all those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. Discussion items. Do we have any discussion items on the in front of us? I don't think so. Oh, Jacob.
Hello again. Yeah, I'd just like to provide a brief update on the solar panel project.
Great, thank you.
Kind of where we are with that. So, as I'm sure you're familiar, the company that was originally contracted to come out and do the work was removed from the project. They went to a bond agency. The bond agency happened to select the same contractor to come in and do the work. And I guess the previous administration has been trying to work on that, and now I'm taking this project over from here on out. So just to update you all, a draft of the takeover agreement for this has been finalized and hopefully will be signed soon. We're still waiting on updates to their insurance policy, and the insurance they're provided is something that myself and Kathy have been going over with our consultant and our legal team to make sure that everything's fine. They did submit the drafts for the insurance items earlier today, but the amounts were not quite what was listed in our contract, so we're trying to mediate that with them now. Once the insurance is situated, the takeover agreement is signed, then it comes to a matter of a $300,000 payment that was supposed to be given once their equipment is on site. And that payment may decrease after the takeover agreement is signed, and that will be kind of the phase when we start deliberating on how much of that we are or are not going to pay based off of their missed invoices, if I'm not mistaken.
So what you're basically saying is it still hasn't started yet.
It has not, but it's at least moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And we're hoping it gets done. In your report, you said, by the end of October.
Yes.
But there's still time after that. I mean, the hard part is getting the stuff in the ground.
Yes.
And a lot of the other stuff, it doesn't matter if the ground starts to freeze, or we can still get that done into November.
Yes. So we have until May of 2025 to finalize this project, so we can still be reimbursed for the money that we've been approved for the FAA for. But we're hoping to get it done by the end of October. That was their projected dates. Had they started on September 3rd, we've had some holdups in that. So they're still aiming for end of October. If it takes a little bit longer than that, we're still in the clear, but the sooner that they can get it up, the sooner that we can start, cutting back on our electrical spending and actually selling some electricity back for profit.
And you thought when you were coming to take over an airport, it was gonna be about planes, didn't you?
I did. I'm learning a lot about solar panels now, so that's interesting.
Thank you. We appreciate both the report and your work on it.
Thank you.
Any other discussion items? Anybody have anything else they want to bring forward? Any other business to come before the commission? Seeing as none, the next item on the agenda is an executive session for us to convene an executive session to discuss a personnel matter pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A. It's been moved. I will second it. Any discussion? Seeing as there's none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? 2 in favor, none opposed. We will now reconvene in executive session. Thank you all very much for coming. I apologize if we didn't provide enough entertainment, but